Good morning. You're listening to WIFO FM Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio 105.5 FM. It is now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here on WIFO. And it's brought to you by O'Quinn & Associates, Murphy Builder Supply, Vans Barbecue, and First Southern Bank.
World-famous. The world-famous Butch and Bob Show.
World-famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. Good morning, Bob. How's it going?
Good.
Doing good?
Yep, doing good. Doing well.
You got a Pine Forest Country Club shirt on there. Wow, that looks good. Man.
Get to Pro Shop.
I saw it was red, so I thought it was going to be a Georgia shirt, but then I looked up and looked down at it because you got your Georgia cap on, one of your UGA caps on. That's Pine Forest Country Club. Good looking shirt there. Is that your lucky shirt? Is that what you wear? Do you wear that in the tournaments like Tiger wore his red on Sundays? No, that's not your lucky shirt.
I don't have a lucky shirt.
That just happened to be hanging up close to you this morning.
I'm not lucky. So. If I was lucky, I would have won the Mega Millions.
Hey, only one person out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions won that one.
I'll be excited about football.
Well, we got a special guest this morning. Who do we have, Bob?
Well, we got the mayor of Jesup in, Ralph Hickox. And first of all, I just want to thank you for coming. You're one of the few city officials who will come to the show. I've tried to get the city manager. She won't come. I invited Stanley Todd several times. He won't come. Cockfield won't come. So I appreciate you coming. But we do have city elections, and I know first thing you want to do is you want to make your announcement on whether or not you're seeking re-election. The qualifying starts on the 21st of August, runs to the 25th, and the mayor and 3 council seats in the city of Jesup, 1, 4, and 5 are up for re-election. So I'm sure I've already said several times that we anticipate you are running for re-election. So you're going to make it official.
Yeah, I want y'all to know, as I always say, I appreciate y'all making it available for us to come on here. I think that having the radio here in Jesup is an asset. Many communities don't have this, having to be able to reach to people. So it's really a good thing, and I want to thank y'all for giving me this opportunity. Yeah, I tell you the truth. I thought the reason I thought about it has been very challenging, and it's taxing on my family. But my love for the city and my drive for wanting to see positive growth and see the city even more improved is important to me. And so I'm going to continue, and I'm going to ask the people to consider me for re-election. I'm going to offer myself up to run a term. I would like to discuss for a minute some things that we have accomplished. I was fulfilling the unfulfilled term of Mayor Keith, so I had basically 2 years and a month, so I didn't have a full term already. But I did promise what I would try to do during those 2 years, and I want to talk about for a second some things I did do, and I want to talk about some things that I would like to do in the next term. So, over this last 2 years, there was a lot of challenges, and I had pushed my way through some of it, but I promised things, and I did the best I could do to accomplish those. One of the things I did was I hosted a Blight at Home workshop that was about 6 months after I'd taken office. I brought to the theater and auditorium there, and I invited experts in a lot of different fields, from insurance to banking to construction to real estate investors, the Wayne County Housing Partners. And the object was for us to talk about and try to energize entrepreneurs into joining in and trying to find these blighted homes throughout Jesup and invest their money in it and their time in it, so we could take a property that basically was off the digest and put it back on the digest. And that was a positive way to grow the digest and to beautify the city of Jesup and provide some needed homes that we really needed. As a result, I did have a bunch of entrepreneurs come. We did learn a lot. We taught them about tax breaks and ways to flip these homes, and it did create quite a few people that were doing it, and that have done it, and that have put homes back on the market and have beautified Jesup. Now, there's a lot more need for this. If you can ride around Jesup, you can see it, and I want to continue this effort of working on. It's like in baseball, Bob. I used to coach teams, and it's easy to get out there and hit the ball to that kid that can hit real good. Or to, throw it to the ball to the kid that can hit real good, or throw the one that's going to throw it out first it's pretty looking. But the kid that's your last draft pick, your lower draft picks, a lot of times they get overlooked. But my strategy was always back then was work on the weakest, because every time that's the one that's going to come to the plate in the 9th inning or the 7th inning in the rec. So I felt like it was important to work on the weaker parts of our town, the part of our town that has the blighted homes or that has the most needs. If you can strengthen your weakest part, you bring the entire city up. And so that was my goal. It's not finished, though. It's not finished, not even closely finished. There's federal and state grants that I can get to work on areas of town like that, and I want to try to push forward with that and try to improve our city. But I did work on that. And also, I worked hard with each commissioner, even if we did disagree a lot of times. I said I would do that. That I would try to work with everybody and try to bring a coalition. I made it my point, though, to present myself as the mayor of the city of Jesup for all the people and of the people. We have had many challenges at times, but I hope that the people of Jesup felt that I maintained the dignity of office that the people of Jesup could be proud of. That was very important to me. It was very important to me to make sure that I gave a good reflection upon the city. I was involved back in 2018 when the tax increase happened with the county, and I'll tell you, I will always tell you that I thought I did the right thing, standing up against that 5 mil increase. But if I could go back in time and maybe find a way to do it differently, so that it didn't create some of the hard feelings that caused that happened, that caused some of the 3-2 votes, I would have tried to find a different way if possible. Because the fight has to be your last choice with that, but you need to work cohesively. And I was determined with the city to not let that happen. So I took it on the chin quite a few times that weren't easy, because my interest was focused on what was best for the city of Jesup, even at the cost sometimes of maybe me getting battered. That was less important. So I hope the people are proud of the way I did try to carry the dignity of that office. But I'm not afraid to fight, y'all. I hope you know that. And I did take a stand. I took a hard stand. We must have growth. We must have growth. That's the way the city must go forward. I fought to stop that moratorium that would have closed Jesup's doors to any construction and building for 6 months. I would not support, nor will I go quietly and to hang a sign on the entry of the city of Jesup to say we're closed to doing business. I'm not going to be a part of that. I even sacrificed my time with my family on vacation, half a world away in Italy, to stop what I was doing there and participate in the meeting via phone. And I called quite a few commissioners while I was over there, trying to make sure that this catastrophic moratorium didn't pass. I even made the deciding vote to halt that moratorium, and I will continue to make sure that we keep the doors open to business in Jesup, Georgia, because that is how the commerce, that's where the taxes come from, that's the jobs we need, and I will not back down on that. I was also tasked by the commission to spearhead an effort to address the homeless situation. It got kind of bad, actually, here in Jesup, but developing what I've come about was developing a compassion but fair policy. We will help. The idea is we will help people get on their feet, but they must adhere to the laws and standards of our community. So what we did first was we consolidated our services, all the services that we had available, whether state, federal, churches, whatever, under one website, one place you could find it real easily. But we also made it easy. So we made it easy to find those services. But we also tightened down our ordinances and our laws about encampments, squatting on other people's property. These tent cities were unsanitary, they're unsafe, and we just can't have it. We can't have it. So we tightened down ordinances, and then we talked with the county. We worked with the county to somewhat mirror those ordinances, and it's been successful. I mean, we still have it, but it's been successful. Still a lot of work to do. And then we took it one step forward. Me and a large group of citizens I had working with me, we organized a regional forum. It was extremely successful. We had close to 150 people there. We brought in city, county commissioners, sheriffs, police chiefs, just a variety of elected officials from all over the state. They were from as far away as Bainbridge up to Metter, Savannah, down to Camden, and we even had 9 state representatives and senators, and we even had a U.S. congressman on Skype to discuss this issue. And we found a lot of common ground. We didn't solve the world's problem, but we did make some headway, and we are continued that effort by keeping an open forum between the people that were there. So this was something I was tasked to do. Honestly, it was not part of my running platform. I don't know that was something that I would have jumped on right off the bat, but when I seen that it was a need the city of Jesup had, I took a lot of time, a lot of effort to work on it, and I will continue to work on it in my next term. We also done a lot of things for the community. We installed pickleball courts, which has been very, very popular. I never would have guessed that. I didn't know what pickleball was, but apparently it's tennis for people who don't want to maybe move quite as much. That might work great for me. We also have I signed off on the contract, executing the contract to build the city or redo the city pool. It's going to be more of a recreational pool, and they're set to start work on that in September, and hopefully have that reopened by next summer. We also restart the Arch Fest this year. I think the plan is to have the Arch Fest the same day as the Christmas parade. That should be really a good thing. And there's a lot of other things important community that we did. Fire and police service is a big part always. We strategically have worked on the needs of the fire department to make sure that we were able to provide better services for fire for the whole city. You know, we also provide services to the Wayne County too, or to the unincorporated areas. And we've worked to strategically make sure we've done the things that would lower our ISO rating so that not only do we provide a better service, but also we could you could get a better insurance premium because that's based on your ISO rating. But we all, at the police, I'm very proud of our police department. They're the model of excellence. And a challenge we've had with not just them, but our other departments is keeping up with this inflation with pay. You know, sales tax has gone up by 50% in the last 4 years. That's an indicator of inflation. Somebody told me it's like that's nearly 50% over the last 4 years anyway. But how do you track that? How do you keep up with that with salaries? That's a moving target. I also want to point out that the rest of our departments, from the sewer plant to the road department, recreation, parks, and our city hall staff, all of them are professionals, and I'm very proud of every one of them. And they've many times had to work and do more with less, and I appreciate them for sticking in there and doing that, and just applaud them, really do. I'm proud of the fact that we have a cooperation between the city and the county government. It is government that's at an all-time high. I'm proud of that. I ran on that, and I've accomplished that. We have a very good working relationship with the county government. In fact, I got one over here.
But you got to have a good
I
working
got one over
relationship
here.
with her.
My wife, yeah, intergovernmental agreement there, right? And then going forward, though, until next term, some things that's very important, man. I'm going to say number one thing that's important to me for the next term, my passion, my mission is in the next term would be to work with the city commissioners, as well as the city of Scribden and Odom and the county government, as well as the Industrial Development Authority, to complete and fill the Wayne County Commerce Center, or the industrial park right across from you over here. You got to realize that this is our future. That park is our future. First, the entire park is in the city limits. So every single plant, every single business that goes in there will be buying water and sewer from the city of Jesup, and they also be paying property taxes to the city. This increase directly affects every citizen in the city of Jesup. Due to this income from this, it allows us as a government to provide you with a better service at a lower cost and the ability to lower taxes without cutting your services. Remember, there's basically three ways that you can do this. You can raise taxes, which we don't want to do. You can cut services, which we don't want to do, or you can grow. You can grow your community. You can grow commerce. Commerce is when they rate that commerce versus residential. Residential costs about $1.30 in tax dollars per ratio. It's like 80 for commerce. It's better for a community to have more commerce. It's more, you're able to provide more services. You're able to provide collect more taxes, so you can provide those services. You're able to cut their taxes with that. It's the way we have to focus on that. And I'm committed to help the growth. We must plant the seed for our future so that we can attract those jobs that we desperately need to keep our children right here in Jesup. The city and the county are both committed to the growth of our commerce park. I personally am committed to it. I support the effort and the work of the county for the community center. That includes a competition pool, a gym, and a place for our citizens. When businesses come looking for our community, the one thing they look for is the quality of life. But more so, the youth of our community is the top of that list. I would rather put money into giving them something constructive to do with their time and to better themselves than to pour money into jails to house them. I think that's a choice. The kids are first.
Ralph, I got a lot of questions. This is a question.
I'm here till 9 o'clock if you need me, brother.
Go ahead, Ralph.
I'll try to hurry. I understand that the community is a county project. The community center is a county project, but I just want to make it clear I wholly support this project. Providing the best services possible and compensating our employees is also so they can make a living is very important to me in the next term. And it's something that's not sexy, but we got to look at the city of Jesup's over 100 years old. We got a lot of ages infrastructure, and it's important that we be proactive in planning to address these issues before they break. There's many places that we can get. Also, there's many places we can get federal and state money to provide grants for a lot of these things that we need and want. And I'm supporting pairing up with the county, Scriven and Odom, to hire a grant writer to help us to bring that federal state money here. It's just smart. Another thing is that to note is that we're one community. Wayne County is. We're all Yellow Jackets. Odom, Scriven, Jesup, all the people and the incorporators. We're all one, and we need to work together. We must work together. If we can eliminate some of the duplicate services that we have and would result in better service at a lower cost, and that's just smart. One great example I'm proud of is the Wayne County and Jesup Drug Task Force. They have taken an amazing amount of illegal drugs and criminals off our streets by working together, and that's a great example of what we all need to be focused on as working together like that. And finally, I'm getting to it, Bob. And finally, the window to our community is our downtown. A community that has a nice, lively, working downtown, offering its citizens and visitors activities, restaurants, and rental space is incredibly important for positive growth. And I'm committed to our downtown. I'm committed to the volunteers that serve on our Downtown Development Authority. I also think we probably need to look into either expanding development authorities to cover not just downtown proper, but the entire city. Or either we need to create a Jesup downtown, a Jesup economic authority. You know, rarely do things just happen on their own. You make them happen. I'm a firm believer is you make your destiny for the most part. With that, I would like to tell you out there how much an honor it has been for you to serve as your mayor, and I really appreciate that opportunity. Yes, it's been hard at times, and we've had some issues, and it's really hard sometimes to make everybody happy. Actually, it's impossible to make everybody happy. At times, it's been hard on my family. It's been, financially $100 a year. That's right, you heard me. $100 a year don't exactly cover all the time, effort, and the tears that go into the job. But it actually cost me jobs and money sometimes. But you know what? I didn't run for money, and I didn't run for this for prestige. I ran because I love the city of Jesup, and I have a vision for a greater Jesup. And if you have confidence to reelect me for another term as as your mayor for the city of Jesup, I will stand fast in my commitment to doing just that, working to make Jesup a better place.
All right, Ralph Hickox there announcing the fact that he's running for re-election, gave some of the accomplishments that he's done in the past 2.5 years and the vision that he sees for Jesup for the next few years. So, Ralph, we appreciate you making that announcement here on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show here on WIFO.
You mentioned when you were in the county commissioners, there are several, many 3-2 votes. And 3-2 is a majority. The county administrator doesn't vote. As a mayor, you voted more times than any mayor in the history of the city of Jesup. Why has no one talked about changing this charter? It makes absolutely no sense that a 4-3 vote with the mayor casting a decisive vote is a majority, but yet a 3-2 vote with a 5 council member isn't a majority. And that's what's been a problem the last several months, that all these 3-2 votes, nothing gets accomplished. Why isn't somebody stepped up and say, Mr. Connor, how do we change this charter back to make where it makes sense?
I will. But when they were at 3-2, you can't pass anything at 3-2. So it was kind of
why was the charter changed? What was the purpose?
Bob, that was before me. I don't really know why they did it, but I want to know is I totally agree with you. A couple things. One, I don't. I think a simple majority is what you need. I don't understand why you have to have 4.
Like I said, it makes no sense. A 4-3 vote with the mayor casting a decisive vote. That's one more than.
I don't know why the mayor don't get to vote.
3.
I'm elected by 10,000 people. To me, I should get a vote either way, and I would be in support, and I will probably encourage. I will encourage the board once we have a complete board, which we do now, to let's look into changing the charter. That gridlock hurt us. I think it made us look bad. When you can have 2 people stop any progress at all, it's a bad look. And
the bad look was, I'll use your words, an embarrassment to have the governor have to step in and make an appointment on a city council. You had 3 names and you had all the council there, and you couldn't. I mean, how embarrassing was that? The joke was we can sell peanuts and popcorn and make money at the city meetings because it's a circus. I mean, this 3-2 votes, but it all goes to that charter. So I don't understand why no one on that board has looked at Mr. Connor and said, Mr. Connor, how do we change this back so we can get something done?
Bob, in fairness, I think, and I don't want to speak for the people, but I think the reason they did that was they was trying to make sure that it was more, a larger will of the people when they passed an ordinance or something. So that's why they tried to make it where you had to have a supermajority to pass anything. But what it caused was, as with net results, sometimes you have good meaning when you do something. And I'm sure that when those commissioners, whoever it was that did that, I'm sure they had good meaning in that. But the net result, what we just had happen was we had gridlock, and it was not a good look. And I personally am in favor of going back and change it to where a 3-2, and not just a 3-2. Again, I think the mayor should be able to vote as well. I mean, I am elected. I do represent the people. But either way, it shouldn't be where it's a 3-2's a fail. And that 3-2's a fail. And that's what happened with the appointment. People were locked down on who they wanted. And it just, it was embarrassing to me. It was embarrassing to me to have to call the governor and ask him to settle our issue. And it was because of the 3-2 vote. But to answer your question, I will be asking that question to do it.
You mentioned the police department. I want to definitely get into the police department. We had Perry Morgan on the Butch and Bob show. It's the most listened to Butch and Bob show in the history of the Butch and Bob show. Has gone on for close to 30 years. I talked to you. I talked to several people. No one is disputing anything that the police chief said or the former police chief said on that show. And he made some strong accusations about how he was strong-armed by the city manager to fire an officer. He refused to do it. That officer is still employed. Why hasn't anybody addressed that show from the city? Why hasn't there been a statement saying, I said we tried to invite the city manager on twice. She refused, but I haven't found anybody with the city that can dispute one thing that Perry Morgan said on that show. So why hasn't any action been taken for what took place there?
Okay. Well, Bob, I need to start out by telling you this, that I can't speak on any issues on the issue of his resignation or about what happened there. And the reason I can't is because it's illegal for me to speak on any kind of personnel issue that is in ongoing investigation. It is in an ongoing investigation. So to say there's nothing happening, there is, but I can't discuss it. I can't discuss any details of it.
There is something going on because you had 2 executive sessions,
right.
2 hours. The city manager,
and I have no liberty.
She wasn't involved in the executive
yes, sir.
session, so obviously she's the top of the executive session. So is there an investigation ongoing? Can you comment on that?
That's all I can comment on, Bob. I can't. It's actually illegal for me to discuss anything that's said in an executive session. It's illegal for me to talk about personnel that are under investigation. I could be charged for that. So that's probably why you don't get other ones on about this issue, because it is. I mean, it's risky for me because if I mess up and say the wrong thing, I can jeopardize the city. I can jeopardize this in a lawsuit. I can cause us problems with an investigation. But I do feel it's necessary for us to speak out to the public. The public have a right to know that we're not just sitting on our hands, which is what you thought. And we're not just sitting on our hands. There is an investigation in the entire issue, but I can't discuss any details or the people involved in it.
The sad thing is we lost a good man. I mean, I still remember Perry Morgan. I mean, he was the first African-American police chief in the city of Jesup. They had a parade, a big event. I mean, big celebration. Everybody likes Perry. And all of a sudden he's gone. And so the question is, who's going to be the new police chief?
Can I speak to that about Perry first?
Can you give an update on when the police chief's going to be named? Do you have any idea who's going to? Does the city manager make that decision?
Yes. Do you mind if I talk about Perry real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because I want to say about that. I can't talk about the investigation, but I can talk about Perry. And I want to know that, on the other hand, I want to say Chief Perry Morgan served the city of Jesup for 33 years. Through integrity, hard work, and dedication, he pulled himself up by his bootstraps, rising up through the ranks. His resignation was an absolute blow to the city. I and all the board members were shocked, and I have the utmost respect for him. I understand the police department, is planning to give him a huge send-off, that he is going to get that for all his years of service, and I personally promise you that I'm going to be there. I have the most respect for that man. He's an honorable man, and I've never heard him tell a lie. I haven't. I personally asked him to stay. Tried very hard. He will be missed greatly, and I wish him Godspeed in his retirement. And I want to thank him personally for both his service to our city, and as a veteran, to his service for our country. And I wanted to say, God bless you, Perry Morgan.
And you may see him back in January serving on the board.
Very well. I would be honored to serve with him.
Yep. All right, Bob.
Another event taking place that the voters are going to decide is going to take place in March, and that's the SPLOST 5 issue. You attended, well, I don't think you knew about the meeting until I told you about the meeting either, so I didn't understand.
No, I did not.
I mean, that was crazy. So
I don't know how you wouldn't know.
That is crazy.
I mean, all those people were invited to this meeting, and
I was not happy about that.
Thanks to the Mayor Scriven, I was.
We weren't happy at the meeting because they're doing public
I
work.
called you. I said, "You going to go?" And you said you didn't know anything about it either. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It is a very important vote coming up, and there's a lot of discussions. The big discussion coming up next is this percentages of the breakdown. And we say it all the time. It all comes down to the money. Talked to the Mayor Scriven, Jason Weaver. We interviewed him. He thought the best way to do it is due to population percent. Where you stand on the percentages as far as the cities of Jesup, Odin, and Scriven in the county for the SPLOST 5, and what are the things that the city of Jesup needs for that SPLOST 5?
Well, as far as the percentage goes, for lost division, the loss is the local option sales tax. We sit around every 10 years. Every 10 years we come together, and all the municipalities and the county come together and they decide service delivery strategy. That's basically when you take the stuff that you're supposed to do to be a government. Like the county has certain things they're obligated to. The city has things. We have to provide 3 services. Anything that we provide over that encompasses for everybody is how you determine what the split of lost is. And we feel very firm that that's the starting point, because that's the number we provide in the city of Jesup for the entire county. So that should be the division. That number is 41.7% for the city of Jesup. And that's where we feel the starting point. But we're very much willing to, again, we're going to work together. We're one county. So we are willing to bend. I don't know about bending all the way to population, because we provide a lot of services beyond our population. At any given time, there's probably 65-70% of the entire population of the county comes into Jesup at one point or other, probably higher than that in the course of the day. The hospital is located in the city of Jesup. So we have to provide security. Our service respond to it. So Jesup provides a lot of services for the entire county. We provide fire service for the entire county. Now, the county does provide two of the extra people that we have to have, but we send a full crew of 4 men and women out to provide fires throughout the whole county, and that's something we've been doing for years. So there's a lot of services we do like that. So to answer your question, our starting point is 41.7. That's our starting point. Would we be willing to come down? Of course. We're here to work with the county. It's what's best for the county with SPLOST. We need SPLOST. I don't know if people realize it's not just the projects that we're going to put on the table there, but there are some things that we couldn't afford to do without it. That's how we help pay for the school buses with the school. That's how we help pay for the police cars and the deputy cars. If we had to pay for all that out of general fund, your taxes would go up. A lot of people may not realize that loss and the special the SPLOST taxes. The whole purpose of them things is to try to alleviate some of the burden on property owners to have to pay for everything. It's to share the cost with people that come to our town. So SPLOST are very important. Without that, all these police cars we get to serve, we'd have like general fund. Same thing with body armor, the cams, fire trucks. Almost all that comes out of SPLOST. Now, as far as what the Jesup, I can't totally speak for what the entire board. We haven't totally made our list on what we are at. I can tell you what I am at, and I've talked with other commissioners that I feel like I'm at. I told you in my announcement that my top priority is that industrial park. Right. I think the industrial park is the future of our community. If we don't plant that seed there, the old saying is you plant a seed that grows a tree that makes shade you don't ever get to see, that we won't get to see. But if we don't plant it, our kids don't get to enjoy it. It's the same thing. We don't reap rewards unless we do it. Same thing when they built that bridge out there crossing the river. They done that back in 1920, and it was a group of people. No, you don't even know who they are. But without that bridge, how much would Jesup have grown? Probably Rayonier wouldn't have been here because they couldn't have crossed both sides to get timber. So there's a lot of things that happen that your leadership does today. That I'll give you a good one is EAM. When Mr. Gary Browning was on the IDA, they pushed for a spec building. That spec building sat empty for how many years? And it was a folly, everybody thought. Look at it today. Over $70 million investment by EAM recently. All them people they're employing because of someone had the vision to plant a seed. And that's what we have to do. So that's my point. My focus, a lot of it's got to do with on the industrial part. We got a $6.5 million grant from the state of Georgia to run water and sewer. If you don't have water and sewer into industrial park, you don't have an industrial park. You have dirt. So we got that, but the city has to match it with about $1.5 million, and then the IDA is matching it with another, I think it's $1 million. Problem is, due to inflation, and everybody's aware of inflation, we're probably going to have a shortfall there, and we're going to have to make it up. We cannot let, first of all, if we don't do that, and after we got the grant, we probably can forget and get another grant again. But that part's that important. And I think we have to have on SPLOST to make sure that we finish that. Also, we have a backdoor road to try to divert traffic out of town and go and put them. That's a $2 million project, and this got overruns because of how much they've raised the wetland credits and because of inflation again. You know, when we got it bid a few years ago, everything went up. So we got to make sure that road gets finished. The county and the city has worked very hard on doing this. The IDA bought the land by moving properties around. They bought land. We in the TEEF SPLOST that got passed last year, I believe it was. The major projects were all about facilitating that part. People, it's our future. So my passion is that. We also got a water issue out there because we got some towers not the same height. We may have to raise the towers in town so we can keep up the pressure so that anybody coming in don't have to buy booster pumps. If they have to buy booster pumps, they may not come here because it's expensive. So anyway, my point is mostly for the city part is trying to make sure that we are able to facilitate making that park happen. Then there are other things that we have. We do have things that we can't afford to do if we don't do in the SPLOST, and it would be like I told you about the aged infrastructure. That's expensive. We're 100-year-old. We got terracotta pipes in the ground all over the city of Jesup. We've if you follow our page, we had I don't know how many pipes bust last year. Them terracotta pipes popping out of the ground or roots growing into the sewer. We've got to address this in a systematic, proactive way. And I've asked our city engineer, Bill Schumann, if he would try to create a chart of exactly where our pipes are, how old they are. Maybe let's start scoping them and seeing which ones need to be addressed first. But that costs money. Money that if Jesup has, I don't know if people realize, but Jesup has very low tax for ad valorem tax. I think less than 8% of our revenue comes from actual property taxes. So living in Jesup, it's a good deal as far as taxes go. We get most of ours on sales tax and other ways.
Speaking of taxes, the military rate's a big discussion. I saw you and both Jamie were at the school board meeting, but nothing was discussed. What were we all there for? What was your interest in that? Well,
you know, if they go up on their taxes, it could jeopardize the people's willingness to vote for our SPLOST. And if we don't pass the SPLOST in May, we go a year without SPLOST. March, excuse me. Yeah, it's March.
It's March.
Okay. So if that don't pass in March, we have to wait a year for it to even attempt again. People don't realize if you delete off that SPLOST money, again, we're going to have to start out. We're going to have to take out a budget for police cars and all the other things that we have been using it for. Not to mention the projects that it's intended for. If we do that, it's likely you'll have to raise taxes. I don't know any way around it. It's important.
Where do we stand on a DDA director? You know, we've lost two of them in the last year and a half. You know, I remember when Michael was here. Michael did a great job. Where do we stand on DDA? You know, you talk about growth. I mean, I know that's important. Those businesses. I mean, they had a great relationship with Hallie. But she's gone. So where do we stand on that? I hadn't heard anything in the city meetings about a DDA director.
Glad you asked the question. Yesterday there was a DDA meeting, and they sent out an invitation. Ms. Lamuda, who's the chairman, she sent out a memorandum or an invitation to all the city commissioners, and myself, the new commissioner, Joe Roddy, who's been a breath of fresh air. I appreciate him there, and Dr. Pamela Schumann, another commissioner, and myself all attended. And that was what they had to say. They want to know about their direction. They want to know about support. They want to know about when the director would be filled. And that issue came up. And basically, the Joe Roddy and Pamela Schumann both expressed adamantly their opinion about wanting to fill that position immediately. So did I. I felt the same way. And I also pointed out that our 2023-24 budget we just passed, it's because the question came up was, well, we got to get approval of the board. And my argument back is that we already have the permission of the board. When we voted on the 23-24 budget. In it was the part-time position of the DDA director, and so it's funded. It's funded. It's been approved. It should be hired, and we all expressed our opinion that was there that, yes, we want to see it hired immediately. So I feel pretty confident that you'll see it hit the board soon, and that we'll get that position filled. Because I desperately want the board, the DDA board, to know that we support them. Because as I told you in my announcement, downtown is the window. It's the window to your community, and we got to stay on top of that. And there's things that the DDA does that makes life in the city better. Makes it not just the city. People from all over. I mean, we have the parade there, which that's done by the Chamber of Commerce. But we have activities downtown. People don't just come from Jesup; they come from all over the county to it. You know, it's the county seat. It's the hub of the city, hub of the county. Does that answer your question?
I said I want to know. I heard they had a DDA meeting yesterday, but do you think it's a full-time position? DDA is important for the city of Jesup? I mean, like I said, we've had it in the past, but we don't have it right now.
I think that you need a full-time person. I don't know that the actual duties of directly the downtown would be that. I think if you combined it with trying to facilitate growth in other parts of the city as well, you certainly would have that. Or that we have in the past, like when Molly was there, she had other details, like, you know, she made sure that the Hall Richardson got, not Hall Richardson, but Cracker Williams got rented out, and she took care of like grant writing and stuff like that. So if you combine all those things, yes. If you just say just the DDA activities, that probably not say it's now. There's times in the year it is around Christmas time when we have our Arts Fest. Obviously, it's full time, but there's other times of year it's probably not. It just depends. But when they cut it back and decided to go to a part-time position, they left all them same details on the part-time. Well, it might have been part-time for DDA, but it's not part-time for DDA and all those other activities. And I think that's part of what the problem was too.
I want to go back to city manager. Something happened at the city meeting a couple weeks ago. I was just shaking my head. She announced that she took $4 million of taxpayers' money and invested it in a CD. Did it without council approval? Didn't take bids for the other banks? I mean, how can the city manager do that? Is that legal?
Can the city manager alone move money to a CD by the city
I've never seen that
charter?
before. Normally, when you do something like that, you have to advertise it and you get other banks to give their interest rates, and the board decides what interest rate they want. But I mean, this is tied up. And I told John Eve, God forbid a disaster hits the city of Jesup, and the city of Jesup needs money, but that money's tied up in a CD. I mean,
No, we can get it out. It'll be a penalty, but if we had an emergency, we can get it out. I mean, that's not. We have some money in other places too.
But does the city manager have the authority to do that?
Well, I have the answer for that. So the question you asked me is, can the city manager alone move money to a CD? By the city charter, I would say it probably says yes. The $4 million transfer, I want to discuss it real quick. The $4 million transfer is our reserve. A government should have a liquid reserve of at least 15 to 33% according to GMA. And that is to avoid us from having to have a tax anticipation note, which you're aware the county used to have. And that's also to make sure in the event of crisis, like a natural disaster, that we're able to have the funds to make repairs to keep our services going, our payroll going, to keep the city moving. So you have to have. That's not just with cities and counties. That's any business. If it hadn't been for me keeping a large reserve for my company, when COVID hit, everything I had was shut down. But if I hadn't had those reserves, I would have been out of business today. And so the same way with the government, if you don't have cash reserves, you're kind of foolish. But if you're going to maintain that kind of money, it's only wise for you to try to draw interest on that money. And as to the question of whether the manager could move the money, the city charter, the Jesup City Charter, in Section 5, Articles of Control, Financial Control, Sections 42 through -161, the responsibility of the execution of financial control, the responsibility of the proper execution and provisions of this article, I'm reading from the city charter, shall be with the city manager, except with the responsibility has explicitly been given to the Board of Commissioners. So that is what the current charter says. By that, I would say it says yes, or if they don't say yes exactly, it certainly does not indicate she can't do it. The CD that was done, we can pull it out if we need it to. It would be a penalty, but it's earning a 5.5%, which is crazy. It's a lot. That's over $220,000 earned on that reserve this year. And honestly, if it had called for a vote, I would have voted yes if I had opportunity to vote, because I mean the money's sitting there. I'd rather earn you $220,000 than let it sit there and earn 1.5 or something like that. It was a good decision that it be done, and it's not the first time it's been done that way. They've moved money into CDs like that many times over the years. Occasionally it's been asked to the city commission to talk about. Sometimes it's not. As far as you asking the question about bidding it out to banks, it's my understanding that's the process for a TAN. I think you might be getting TAN, and because TAN you're purchasing something. With this, we're putting money in the bank. Probably it's a good thing it would probably be better business practice if you did go to all the banks and put out a bid process like that. It'd be more fair to put it like that. I'm not sure if that's the process she did or not, because we were not in the loop. Now, that was the answer to the question you asked. Now, would you like my personal opinion? My personal opinion is, while I think it was a good decision to put that money in the CD, and the city charter does appear to give her, or at least not deny the manager that authority, I do think that the charter should be revised and changed, because it's being able to open an account, one person being able to open an account and move $4 million of money of public trust. It's just too much money for one person to do by themselves. I don't think that's a really good accounting process, and that's not a reflection on her or any manager in the past. That I'm just saying that I don't think it's helped the accountability wise for one person to be able to open an account. I don't personally think that, and I believe that that should be also pre-approved by the entire board, but the charter does not require that. I've read the charter. I called legal counsel, talked to our attorney about it, and that was his opinion as well. I furthermore think that we need to reestablish the finance committee started by former city commissioner Nick Harris. It is our responsibility as your elected officials to not only be wise with your money, but to take steps to prevent any potential compromise that possibly could happen. And so I think we need to be reviewing our administrative. Actually, we don't have any administrative policies. It's all just handbook. I think we should have some administrative policies. It's something maybe we've learned out of this. Something we need to work on. You know, did anything happen wrong? Was anything nefarious in the deal? I don't think so. And when I agreed with moving it had to come forward, yes. But do I think that opened the door to us saying we need to look at this? Yeah, I do. I agree with that.
I've just never seen it in all my 41 years of covering city and county politics. That was just something I was like,
it just didn't
whatever.
come up in the meeting when you heard it. But
I said the
It's
elections
happened many times before where the managers will move money for CDs and different things, something like that.
It has.
Basically, what it comes down to from what you're saying is the fact that unless y'all tell the city manager not to do it by a vote, they can do it.
Yes.
And it's been a practice in the past. It's been done.
Yes.
It just happened to come up around right now with a $4 million one, not a $200,000 or $800,000.
But with this coming to light, I have to agree with you that I think and it has nothing to do with our current city manager. It's got to do just good practice. If one person, just think about it, if one person, whoever it is, can go open an account on their own and take public trust money and move it into that account on their own, that's not really good accountability. It may not be legal, but I just think it's a bad idea.
Well, I agree with what you said with Nick Harris there. You need to have being a past chairman of the Georgia Association of Broadcasters, being involved in different civic organizations and stuff like that, everything needs a finance committee. You need at least 3 people who can see the daily money movement.
Yeah, you know, there's a reason why at Walmart and every other store around that they don't have the open till for a register. It's not a matter you don't trust that person behind the register. It's called accountability, and you need to have it. And you need it in your government for sure.
Again, the election's not till November. We'll have you in between now and then. Just one final question about the pool. And they made the good news. The contract's been signed. The question is, what's the pool going to? Is it going to be available for in the old days? The Piranha swim team used to be able to use it to practice. Is it going to be where they have lanes where they can practice? I heard it's just going to like a.
It's a recreational pool.
It's a recreational pool.
So they're not. It's not going to help them at all.
I'm not.
So that's why the community center's the big proposal for the county.
I'm going to be honest with y'all, and I'm not going to ever. I believe that the board should. I believe when something passes the board, that once you've made your argument, and I have made my argument, I believe you have to accept the will of the board and move forward and argue. But my argument has been the whole time is I didn't feel like the city of Jesup can afford the pool. I know what it used to cost with the county. I thought we should support the county in their effort, and I still feel that way. But the pool is being designed as but I support my commission in this. The pool is designed as a recreational pool. It'll have a beach entry, so it probably won't be very appropriate for the swim team. If the swim team wants to use it, I'm sure we're going to work something out with it. We're not going to say, no, y'all can't use the pool. But it's not really designed with mind for the piranhas or for the swim team, and I'm very, very proud of our athletes that compete on that. And that's why I'm telling you, I'm wholeheartedly supporting the county and their effort with that. But this pool it's gonna be expensive. $736,000 for the pool alone. By the time we do the pool heater and all the other accessories, probably close to $1.1 million. $1 million, right? Yeah, and then probably close to $200,000 a year to create another department to run it. I personally would have rather seen a splash pad, maybe a skate park right there, and then support the pool with the county. But the decision of the board was this, and I support them in that. And I signed a contract on it like 2 weeks ago. The work's going to begin on it in September. It should be open by the summer, so the people of Jesup can enjoy a pool hopefully next summer if nothing goes wrong. And but I will tell you, the city of Jesup's commissioners are very proactive in trying to do good things. The pickleball court. If you asked me about a pickleball, good Lord have mercy. I didn't know what pickleball was. But you go
tennis
out there,
and ping pong together,
something
right?
like that. But you go out there any day, and these people are eating it up. And the cost. People have talked about the money. I think it was like $1,800 for first two set. I mean, when you look at what we spend just going to a meeting at the GMA, I mean that was a great investment for the people to enjoy. But the investment for the pool is there. We're going to be able to enjoy that. What else you got?
No, I'm about to wrap it up. But like I said, just talk about that community center, and I've made this statement many, many times. You can build a pool. The question: who's funding the pool once it's built? And like I said, it drives me crazy. Bill Harvey, God bless him, but for the last 3 years, we did have a meeting between the school and the city and the county and discussed they've been talking about that for 3 years. You know how many meetings they've had? 0, not one. And I talked to Douglas, who's got a pool. It costs us to keep up the pool $500,000 a year.
Yep.
So the question is, once you build your pool, who's funding it? Who's committed to funding that pool for the remainder of the pool? Ask anybody that built a pool in their backyard; they'll tell you the same thing. After you get, after the kids get grown, all of a sudden, guess what? It's a money pit. So that's the question that needs to be asked before you build a pool, community center, whatever. Who's funding it from here on out? Because it's going to be very, very expensive.
It's been an outcry, though, Bob, of the community.
I understand that. I'm just saying, but you got to get people on board.
This isn't just
you got to have that meeting. You got to go to that school system and say, look, you got a swim team. You're going to use that pool. We need some money. The county's got to put some money in the city. Everybody's got to be in together. I'm just saying, before you build it, you better get a
there's the
agreement on
recreational.
who's paying for it from here on out.
It's going to be county government, but there should be some help from the other entities as well. But the pool they're talking about building, it's not ours is going to be recreational. It's not really the swim team is welcome to come in there, but it's not really going to be appropriate for them.
It's not. It doesn't have.
It's
the
not
range,
big
right?
enough. It's a walk-in.
That's what
what they're building is not only going to be a swim a competition pool that they can use, but this isn't just a pool for the swim team. That pool also is for recreation. I understand there'll be a heated pool there, so the hospital for therapeutics can use it. It'll have wide uses. Plus, you're going to have, from what they're talking, I only know this because I happen to know a commissioner. But they want to have something for everybody. The elderly classes been there for the elderly. They want to have places people can have events. They want to have stuff for the young children to come to gymnasium. We got to provide stuff for these kids to do. If we don't provide stuff for them to do to stay out of trouble and be productive, maybe create mentors, a mentor system in there, then you leave them to the street. And if you don't deal with the children there, and today, so many homes have single family parents, and the one parent has to go out and work, has no choice, has to work two jobs sometimes, and maybe they have trouble finding someone to watch the children, and the children are maybe left alone a lot. This gives options for us as a community to be able to make sure our children are having something to do. It's a lot easier to deal with it on this level and pay that expense you're talking about on this level than to pay it on the backside with prisons. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel about that.
Yeah, if you discuss, Baxley, Appling County, they've got a very nice full facility that's covered and all that, this competition. And Hazelhurst, I'm trying to go with communities that are smaller than us. If I say something like, Brunswick or Savannah, folks will say, well, that's a bigger community. But these are two smaller communities that have excellent pool facilities. Any conversations with them when the
Can I
time
answer
comes
that?
to be able to go and see how they did theirs?
Do you mind if I bring Jamie? Because Jamie went and visited. My wife is here. She's county commissioner. Would you step up, Jamie? She actually went and visited those pools. I could talk secondhand, but I'd rather her.
Okay.
And
Introduce
Bob,
yourself, you
hi,
all.
I'm Jamie Hickox. Bob, I went to our superintendent before I ever started the whole mantra of the community center and asked him about the school and a pool. And he said that the school system would not take on the liability of purchasing a pool, but they would come along and partner with the county to support a community center pool.
Talk about Betsy.
Baxley, we went to 3 commissioners and a group of citizens, and the coach of the swim team went to Baxley, and we also went to Douglas and looked at their pools, their facilities. That's how we narrowed down what our the vision of the new community center pool would be. If you go to Douglas, they have. Not only do they have a splash pad, not only do they have this amazing competition pool, they don't have any kind of covering on that, which Baxley does have. And Baxley has used part of their pool for therapeutics. They have a special therapeutics time. But what Douglas did is they incorporated through a grant system special needs baseball field, which was absolutely amazing. Our capability of servicing our community is limitless if we are willing to, 1, work with each other, and 2, reach out to other communities that have already done this.
Glad to hear that, Jamie. Appreciate you coming up here and talking about it. Now we know a little bit more. A little bit more. We are reaching out and learning from other folks, and that's a good thing.
Intergovernmental communications here.
Yeah. All right. Ralph Hickox formally announced this morning on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show he's running for re-election, gave a outline of what has been accomplished the last 2.5 years he's been mayor with him and the council, and some of his visions for the city of Jesup if he's re-elected in November. And so, Ralph, we appreciate you coming on this morning. And it's good to have public officials that's doing public work. They'll come on the local radio station and talk about what they're doing in public work. We appreciate that. You've been one of the few that have come on a regular basis, discuss what you're doing and in helping in doing public work, whether it was a county commissioner, city mayor. It's not like y'all running a private industry here. You're doing the public's work, and the public needs to know. That's what the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, a lot of it's about, is informing the public what's going on.
I promised, and I promise the people when I ran that I would be transparent and I would never not answer. Have I not pretty well held up to that, Bob? Anytime you've asked me, even when I didn't want to come, I came.
I know, and like I said, I appreciate you coming on because, like I said, as I said at the beginning, we've invited many people, and they just won't come for one reason or the other. So
This is one of the harder ones, I have to admit, because it's not because I want it to come from day one, and I got information I can say. I got information I'd like to say, but because of the legality of it, it was challenging for me to do that.
I understand. Like I said, it'd be interesting to see how all that investigation plays out. But like I said, I know there's just a lot of people upset that Perry left early, and like I said, I said it before, I haven't found anybody in city government that just refuted one thing the man said on that show. And that show is, what was the last count? Butch, 7
about
to 8?
5,500.
Yeah, I thought it was
that
more
was
than
just the people who went back and listened to it, not counting the folks who have listened with other people around or listening to it live that day.
I was
it's been
trying
thousands and thousands.
I was trying to listen to it that show via y'all's app, and it crashed the app, and I think we had
It
we had to
crashed.
run out to the car, so you couldn't count that one. We run out there, turn the
crashed.
car radio on. We're listening. We don't even have a radio in our house because we use the app.
You use the app, yeah.
And so when it went dead on me, y'all got to do something about that. Bob.
We're going. I'm talking to Mark because we got football season coming up here. You know, we had the baseball playoffs. They crashed, not the regular season, but the baseball playoffs crashed. So we're going to have to work on. he worked on doing something instead of just going through our website, and something going through YouTube on those last couple of playoff rounds where they didn't. So we're going to have to. We'll take care of that.
Me and Jamie runs out to the car, and we're trying to tune the radio on, fussing like crazy. I tell you what, though, Chief Perry Morgan did a great job, and I'm truly sad about his leaving, but I know he's going to do well in his retirement, and I appreciate all he did for Sid Jesup.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on. All right. World famous Butch and Bob show right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. And the world famous Butch and Bob show brought to you by O'Quinn & Associates, Murphy Builder Supply, Vans Barbecue, and by First Southern Bank.